It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and TanMan. Welcome into part 2 of the Border War for February the 15th. This is BG. I'm here with TanMan. You can follow us on Twitter at the Border War. You can follow me at BG_Border War. And TanMan at TanMan 3264. Man, you really need to change that handle.
I tried to make it like TanMan at the Border or at TanMan Border War or something. It's just not enough spaces. It wouldn't let me. It was like Border War.
You don't want to be TanMan at the Border War.
I don't want to be the Border War.
All right, you can email us at carolinaborderwar@gmail.com. Like and download us through the Spreaker app, and like and share us on Facebook. What is that thing?
We were also on Facebook Live earlier.
We were on Facebook Live.
My first Facebook Live I've ever been a part of.
What is that thing you're putting on the? Is that our interview device?
That's going to be our interview device.
Okay, we will be taking a live phone call for the first time.
It's going to be amazing. Breaking news.
History. If it doesn't work, then it's because we didn't want it to. That's the way things work. We're going to start off hour number 2 here in the National Basketball Association. The trade deadline has come and gone.
Yeah.
This time last week, you and I sat here and
no
talked
big
about
moves.
how it seemed as if nothing was going to happen. And because I think I even went so far as to explain it to our listeners, because the summer had been so busy, surely there weren't going to be big moves. And I mean, what was it, 45 minutes after the show ended? The entire league explodes.
Well, that's basically the way things happen. When we say X is going to happen, it's Y. If we say Y is going to happen, X will inevitably take place. I don't know how to explain it.
Really, though, in all seriousness, the NBA has become, man, this stuff is almost more interesting than the games.
The NBA offseason and the NBA trade deadline are infinitely more entertaining than the NBA regular season.
Yeah.
It just now you get little pockets of good games, and I'm not, you get the Spurs and the Warriors, and last night the Blazers and Warriors
but
played.
But you know, the championships are being run with these moves.
But
I mean,
the off season, the summertime, and the trade deadline are right up there as far as the most entertaining parts of an NBA calendar.
All right, look, the Cleveland Cavaliers. We
Start
talked
off
about
in Cleveland, in the land.
Before the show. All right, so your favorite sports reporter, Brian Windhorst.
Yeah, Brian Windhorst.
From
the Akron Beacon Journal. It's where he'll be when LeBron finally retires. He'll be back.
Do you think Brian expects LeBron to hang out with him well into their 50s? I think he's going to be heartbroken when he finds that LeBron...
It's going to be a very disappointing end to Brian Windhorst's career.
Okay, so he has an article on ESPN.com saying that and I mean, I guess it's progress that this isn't that it is an if, because 2 weeks ago I wouldn't have said anybody was even saying LeBron coming back was an if. But if LeBron comes back to Cleveland next year, that their salary is going to top $300 million. So I'm just looking at their salaries right now. Obviously, LeBron is at, we'll just say $36 million a year.
He's going to take whatever the maximum amount allowed is.
Kevin Love, the second highest paid player on that team now at $24 million. George Hill picked up just recently.
Yeah.
He's a $19 million player. And after that, you got the rounding out the next few. You've got Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, Jordan Clarkson, Kyle Korver's way down there. You get into and they've got 2 open roster spots right now.
Yeah.
So you figure they're going to pick up a couple of guys off.
Probably saving those spots for guys who got traded and are going to get bought out by their new teams.
Does this make the Cavs the favorites in the East again?
Well, you go ahead and start.
I think I'm still going to ride with the Celtics for right now. Because I think the problem is not basketball. We've talked about this, and I mean, look, I got 2 words for you, man. Dwayne Wade.
Okay.
What happened there? They're
Father
quote
Time.
unquote best friends.
Father Time, man.
I know.
Undefeated, man.
I know, but yeah.
All
but
right.
this was the same Dwayne Wade you thought you were getting.
All right. Open up that hard head because I'm going to drop some knowledge in on you right now, all right?
All right.
I'm going to drop some knowledge on you. The Cleveland Cavaliers, it's a shocker. The Cavs are the favorites again in the East, and I'll tell you why. Because the roster that they had, and before the year, you look at it and say, well, D Rose, Isaiah Thomas,
right,
injured, but you had LeBron, and LeBron is the great elixir. Having LeBron will conquer all.
Are you going to tell me that LeBron's happy now, and that makes a difference?
Ding, 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 ding,
okay.
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, because that's the one thing I thought about.
Leading up to the trade deadline, it was clear, and we talked about it last week, and I think I called them a dumpster fire, and they were. I mean,
they were a soap opera.
But LeBron James you watched him on the floor. He was as disinterested as he's ever been, either at the end of the first Cleveland run, at the end of the Miami run. That's kind of what that felt like. There's a long article, and if you've got time, go read it because it's very interesting. Again, it gives you a peek behind that curtain. Adrian Wojnarowski, if I'm pronouncing his name right, we'll just call him Woj.
Wojo, man, Wojo, just don't take it all that far.
Woj wrote an article detailing how the overhaul of the Cleveland Cavs roster went down. Gave you a peek behind the curtain on how Kobe Altman worked a lot of those deals, and I won't get into all of it, but it's fascinating stuff where they thought they were getting this guy, this team thought that. I mean, it was amazing. But what the thing that stuck out about it is the Cavs, since LeBron has come back, Dan Gilbert has gotten to actually sit down and talk with him like one time. I mean, it doesn't happen. Kobe Altman was able. Now, they didn't go to LeBron and get him to sign off. Is it okay if we get this guy? Can we make? But they went to him and reached out to him to bring him back in the fold, and he reciprocated that by agreeing. He agreed. And it's crazy to think a player agreed to meet with management, but it's LeBron James. But he agreed to sit down. He sat down with Kobe Altman. They got these deals. You look at what they lost. I mean, they got rid of Isaiah Thomas, who was never a fit. Dwayne Wade, who was getting ready to have a diminished role. You talk about problems in the locker room. A lot of people point to Dwayne Wade being the reason for that. Because he and LeBron were such that there was a thought that maybe he was isolating, that friendship was isolating LeBron from the rest of the locker room. So there was just a lot of things at play. They take out a lot of dead weight. They ship Rose out. They ship Isaiah Thomas out. They ship Dwayne Wade out. And what they bring in young guys.
Right.
Yeah, that roster is one of the oldest rosters, if not the oldest roster in the league. Now they've got young guys.
Well, okay.
Guys like Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson.
Do we think that, I'm saying we, because like I said, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think this makes Boston less talented.
No, it doesn't make Boston less talented. Now, if Gordon Hayward hadn't gotten hurt the first minute of the season, maybe it's a different discussion. As good as Jason Hayward, he hasn't played well in years. As good as
Jason Hayward's career peaked after the first pitch of his
opening
career.
Day. As good as Jason Tatum has been, at some point he's going to hit that wall. And he may have started already hit it a little bit. He's going to hit that wall where 82 games takes a toll.
Yes, because it's very, very different.
You're talking about playing another 20 at minimum in the playoffs.
And longer per game.
Excuse me. Yes, I do think at the end of the day, the Cavs overhauling their roster, but more importantly, overhauling their locker room.
That is the big story.
Makes the big story. That makes them the favorites. Why are you yawning? You're supposed to cough, not yawn.
Well, because they can't hear the yawn. You can make me cough anytime. Thank you. I can even cough while I'm talking.
I'll make you do that too.
Well, it's been a long day, man.
It has been a long day. The Cavs are the new favorites in the East. The Celtics are going to be right there. I was hoping the Wizards would be able to make a move and throw their hat in the ring, but that doesn't look likely. And they're talking about signing Derrick Rose.
You mentioned Isaiah Thomas, who was not a fit. Do you feel like he's being sort of thrown under the bus here a bit? Is he being made a scapegoat for things that he wasn't even there long enough for them to have been his problem? And I think you can hear in my question what I think.
No, there's no question. He has been made the scapegoat in all this, and why? I don't know. Like I said, don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but no,
I've got a theory as to why.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so early on, when he came back, when did he start playing? In December?
It was he didn't play but 15 games, I think they said. So it was very, very recently.
I remember an interview after a game they lost badly. It might have been the one against the Timberwolves, the really, really bad one back in December, where I
know he was critical of the coaches and
he said something along the lines, and I'm paraphrasing, of back in Boston we played defense.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear back in anywhere.
Back in Boston. Well, I mean, he made, and again, I'm paraphrasing, so I don't know that he used the word Boston. But where I came from, something like that. We played defense. We showed up for practice. We played with effort.
Well,
and when he did that,
who's the one that who's that availed shot at?
Yes, and when he did that, he was done in Cleveland.
Yeah,
man.
That was it, man.
You don't do that, and you can say whatever you want about LeBron, but he, man, when you're the owner of the team and you can't get him to meet with you, what?
It's amazing.
What is that?
It's amazing.
Okay, so does this change our expectations of what's going to happen in the offseason? What's the chance LeBron stays in Cleveland?
Well, you said it to open up hour 2. They're looking at a $300 million payroll next year.
Yeah.
With what they have on there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
That's just the guys they have.
Let me just go ahead and tell you. Rich guys, wealthy guys don't get wealthy by just throwing away money. I can almost guarantee
But Gilbert has developed the reputation of giving blank checks.
They are not paying $300 million next year. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think that this makes LeBron a little happier.
Has to go then. You can't keep him, because if you keep him, that means that monetarily you keep him, but all the talent leaves.
But what this deal did is Jordan Clarkson's not on a rookie deal, but he's not making $30 million, and he's a young guy. Larry Nance is a young guy. George Hill can provide some veteran leadership. But you know what they kept? They kept that Nets pick. They didn't have to get rid of that pick. They wanted that. They wanted to make sure they kept that to jumpstart a potential rebuild, and they did. It's huge.
No, it is.
It's huge.
It is. They didn't have to get rid of their ace in the hole. We've talked about. There's a chance it's the number 1 overall pick.
There's a chance. The Nets have started to hit the skid. They kind of went sideways into the All-Star break.
It's going to be like the 4th pick on average. It's going to be about the 4th pick. Well, are you surprised? I'm absolutely shocked by this. That there's a couple things that shocked me. Both of them involving the same player. If you had told me the entire Cavaliers roster was going to explode, like basically we're getting rid of everybody.
Yes.
Would you have thought Kevin Love survives that? Of all the people that I thought they would have gotten rid of. And the other thing that surprises me, he's the second highest paid player on the roster now. Kevin Love's making $24 million a year. So is that how you keep LeBron and cut your salary?
I think that Kevin Love, outside of the internal organization, I think people think one thing about Love. I think on the inside, I think LeBron loves Kevin Love.
Well, I think that shows this. Because I don't think he would still be there if that weren't the case.
I think LeBron really...
There are plenty of people that would love to have Kevin Love.
Love to have Kevin Love.
Love to have Love.
Love catches a bad rap. We've talked about it. Love catches a bad rap when they get into the final because he just can't guard against Golden State. But nobody can guard against Golden State.
Not just that,
but
man,
other than that one team and that one matchup, and it happens to be the one team that they have to go through. Other than that, Kevin Love is a valuable piece.
Well, you're hinting at my next question for you, but look, Tyronn Lue has Kevin Love playing as a 6'11" power forward, hanging out in the 3-point corner, waiting on a pass. That's not on Love.
They've got to figure out something better for him. But no, I'm not surprised that Love stayed.
Really?
No.
I mean, I don't know. Don't get me wrong.
No.
I'm not saying anything about Love, but I'm just saying you could make the very strong argument it hasn't worked out.
Well,
I mean,
been to 3 NBA Finals in a row. Like I said, I think Love catches a bad rap from people on the outside, from the talking heads, because when it's time to get down to brass tacks in the NBA Finals and they're running against Golden State every year, he can't guard Draymond Green.
Well, but okay,
he can't guard Kevin. But outside of that one matchup,
right?
Kevin Love is an important piece of that team.
If LeBron comes back, though, is he the guy that has to go? He's the big money on that roster after LeBron.
It's gonna. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for that. It would be a much more interesting radio show, I guess.
Well,
but I don't.
Well,
let's
at least identify that as that's the question.
That's it's going to be an interesting summer in Cleveland. Again, the off season is probably more entertaining than the actual grind of an NBA season.
Okay, again, that's what I was going to say. Let me tell you. You know who won this whole thing? Adam Silver.
How's that?
Because it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. Man, people, like you said, man, people love talking about this stuff. It's almost like pro wrestling or something. But other than him, let me tell you who won this whole thing. Golden State.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They're still there. It's like people on a sinking ship arguing about who's jumping off and who's staying on. You're all going down, man. I mean, Golden State.
People are wanting to start panicking on the Warriors now. You know, they're not the top seed in the West anymore.
Nobody's beaten them in 7 games, man.
Not buying it.
Nobody. They're not trying to be the top seed. They're not even paying attention.
I think they've hit that point.
They are playing casual basketball.
They've hit that point. Yeah. Ask the Phoenix Suns. They've hit that point as an organization that LeBron hit years and years ago, where it doesn't matter what seed they are. It doesn't matter for LeBron to be the 2 or the 1 or the 3. When it's time to get to work, they're going to be there at the end. So.
Well, yeah, and I mean, again, it bears repeating. We're talking about a style of playoffs that is nothing like college basketball. Yeah. When you think about what it would take to beat the talent on that roster, 4 games out of 7, there is not a team in the Basketball Association that can do it. Not one. And I'll tell you one I can promise you won't do it. That's the Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets are not going to beat anybody in the playoffs.
All right. I've got a prepared statement here. Uh-huh. It's going to take me just a minute. Can you promise not to talk during this part of the segment?
Do I need to get my buzzer ready?
I'm just going to summarize the Hornets' free agency activity real quick for everybody. All right, here we go. All right, I'm done. Why do you keep? I mean, it was supposed to just be dead silence. That was my joke, and you can't even let me have that. I don't even get access to.
You're not qualified. Let's just say you're not qualified for the board.
You just told me to call your internet company for you tomorrow because you can't handle shifting companies because you think they're going to pull out lingo you don't know and job you.
They might.
You want me to be your technical consultant?
I'm a simple man.
All right. Okay, so the Hornets. I mean, I don't even think this is the question. I mean, did the Hornets blow? Yeah, the Hornets blew it. I mean, it's just frustrating.
Look,
it's frustrating.
When you have someone like Kemba Walker in a market, in an organization like the Hornets, I can speak from experience as a Pacers fan, having gone through the Paul George era now. When you have this guy, you have a small window of time to make something happen with him.
Yes.
They took a run a couple years ago, and it was great, man. They had a game 7.
Really,
they had a
second half of the season.
Yes, they had a game 7 in the playoffs.
The second or third best record in the East for the second half of the season.
Yes. They took the Heat to 7 games in that first round series,
and had gone down there and split.
Yes,
they were coming back home with a 3-2 advantage.
They rewarded that season. They rewarded the Nick Batum with the big contract for that. Marvin Williams got a little money. Sound. You know,
Nick Batum. What in the world?
You get one opportunity to remake your franchise by getting rid of a guy like that. And they completely blew it because now every second, every minute, every day that goes by, that they can't move Kemba Walker is his trade value is going down, down, down. Because now instead of a team being able to get 2 playoff runs out of him, now you make a trade for him this offseason, and he's the most likely to get traded according to an article I read today. But now the team that trades for him is going to get him for 1 playoff run instead of 2.
Right.
So yes, they absolutely blew it. I think they have to move him this offseason.
Well, we talked about this, it seems like 2 months ago now. Both of us thought back then that Kemba needed to be traded.
Yeah.
Both of us are big Kemba Walker fans.
I hate to see him go, but
I love a point. Damian Lillard's my favorite NBA player. I don't ever get to watch him because he doesn't start playing till midnight.
Yeah.
But I love point guards, and so a point guard being on my sort of de facto team, the Hornets, is a great thing. Not a point guard, a top 25 player in the league point guard. Mm-hmm. Kemba's elite. Let's just say that he's an elite player.
It shouldn't have taken an injury for Kemba Walker to get to an All-Star bid. Now, let's just put that out there.
Right. No, you're right.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But we talked about wanting Kemba gone sort of because we feel bad for Kemba and because we thought there's obviously nothing going to happen here, man. You got to unload this roster. You got to start over. And then we kind of backed off on that because we started looking at their schedule, and you and I decided maybe we've been too hard on them. Maybe they actually have played a lot of hard teams early on. They've got an easier schedule. That's not it might be the case, but they're not.
It's the case, but again, they're on the hook to pay to get into the luxury tax next year. You're not paying the luxury tax to finish 10 games under 500.
It's amazing.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, the record they have right now, at worst, should be flipped around.
And they're not going to be able to offload 1 or 2 of those bad contracts that they have because they've got a few of them. They're not going to be able to get rid of them without losing Walker too. It's just,
no one's expecting the Charlotte Hornets to win an NBA title, but I'm just going to say, you look at their roster, you look at what those players, what every player on their roster has done at some point in his career. They should be a 60-win team. They're a 60-win team.
60 wins?
Yeah.
60-win team.
55-win team.
50. All right. You're talking crazy, man.
They're a 54-win team. A 50-win team.
They're lucky to be a 5-win team right now, the way they played some.
No, but really, look.
They should be better than what they are.
What I'm saying is, what was their final record that year, 2 years ago? I don't remember.
Something like 48 and 33 or something like that.
And Batum had a good season.
Yeah,
okay, so they should have progressed since then. They have not. They've tread water.
Yeah.
I mean,
last year should have been the eye opener when they weren't able to build on what they had done the year before with basically the same team back. I mean, that should have what they call a clue.
I would like to just say that there's a question on the bottom of the screen right now on ESPN. Was Rondo out of line? I don't even know what happened. I'm going to say yes.
He's always out of line.
I'm going to say that he was.
Yeah. All right, BG. We're going to move back over to your realm here. I know signing day is coming and gone
Save me
now.
from myself.
Before you start giving the Hornets 5 wins and setting new NBA win records, BG, signing day coming and gone.
The Hornets are an all-time great team. I think everybody understands that. Right?
Sit here, pulled up the 24/7 composite rankings. No shocker, the usual suspects at the top: Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Clemson coming in at 6, Alabama at 7. Seems a little low. Then you come down. You got a lot of SEC teams before you hit your Gamecocks coming in at 19. BG, are you? Did you get all you wanted out of that signing day class?
I think you got all you could have realistically expected to get. A year or so ago, when Xavier Thomas basically committed to Clemson and never wavered off of that, the chances of this being some kind of special class went out the window with that. You signed 9 4-star players, a lot of really solid defensive line and offensive line players, along with some really impressive skill guys. Obviously, I guess the big name coming out of this is Takerion Joyner. You've got a dual threat quarterback in the wings again. And the guy that we hired as our quarterback coach, I'm really hoping is going to take that a step up from what we had before. I mean, like I said, that was my big problem wasn't what I saw as play calling with Kurt Roper, but it was more what I perceived as the coaching in between the weeks with Bentley's mechanics, whatnot. So having a guy that actually has some pro experience, that knows what he's doing, that's been around, already has guys on the Elite 11 for the 2019 season visiting Columbia. I mean, I think that's going to pay off. That's not really a recruiting answer. Josh Vann is a huge pickup out of Georgia, a real skilled receiver. If anything else, South Carolina should be absolutely loaded at wide receiver next year. Should be absolutely loaded. Clemson's class is better. I mean, let's just it's not as big, but
most folks.
They've got three of the best players in the country. They just did, and so Clemson's not going anywhere. We've talked about North Carolina's class. I'm not sure where do you guys on this composite ranking? Where are you?
Right, so
the last time I checked, it was down in the.
Yeah, well, we come in a few spots behind you. We come in at 23.
But then he covered some ground at the end because they a couple of weeks before signing day they were ranked in the 40s.
Yeah.
So North Carolina with that dual threat quarterback out of. Where is it, Alaska? Or
I'm gonna get you a
Canada
jersey. You mention that guy every week, man.
Yeah, but I can't ever remember where he's from.
Kansas.
Was he from Hawaii?
You're from Hawaii.
Okay, but no, I mean, look, South Carolina put together 11-win seasons with classes not ranked much higher than this. So they brought in some talent.
What I think you guys did a good job.
They're better than they were
during the early signing period. You're waiting on Wanham. You're waiting on Sandage. Anything can happen in college football recruiting with these guys getting flipped left and right. You guys were able to seal the deal with those two, get their signatures on the piece of paper, and close the deal. So
the thing is, I think we got stronger up front on both sides of the ball, and that's, in our league, that's how you win football games. So, yeah, overall, I'm pleased. I still think we're behind Clemson. We're obviously still behind Georgia, who brought in the number one class overall, but...
Well, most people are.
Yeah, everyone is, actually.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're number one.
Yeah. Well, BG, this is a big moment in Border War history. We've got a semi-celebrity on the line, hopefully.
Skip Holtz?
It's Skip Holtz. Is Skip Holtz on the line? Skip Holtz, are you there?
Apparently nobody's on the line.
My good friend...
Tony Schiavone.
This is not Tony Schiavone. This is much better than Tony Schiavone. My good friend, Jonathan Hanna, is on the line. Big guy, how you doing, man?
Man, not bad. How about you guys?
Oh, man, we're hanging in there, just talking a little college football recruiting. Good to hear you. Good. Did you know you're the first actual guest that we've had on the show?
And we turned down a lot of people so that you could be first.
We've turned down an actual radio offers, waiting for the day when we could get Jonathan Hanna back on the line.
And thank goodness that day has arrived.
Hey, I'm just going to be honest. That doesn't surprise me one bit.
What's that?
That you didn't have anybody else. I'd be the first.
Okay, so... TanMan told me that he asked you if you had juicy recruiting stories, and you said that your recruiting was really, really boring. So what we're going to need you to do is make up some stuff.
Well, let's. But before we get into making up stories or telling us some stories about some actual recruits and bags of money, and hopefully you can name names. Tell us what it's like, because as a semi-pudgy guy sitting here in a Hawaiian shirt, the only time that my signature's ever really been wanted on anything was by credit card companies and mortgage companies, and both of those probably severely regretting those decisions right now. So what's it like to have all of these coaches fawning over you and wanting your signature on a piece of paper as a 17 or 18-year-old kid?
Well, first off, I have to touch on the Hawaiian shirt.
Okay.
You got to let that go.
No.
Wow.
Man, harsh on the Hawaiian shirts. Unbelievable.
But, I mean, the recruiting process,
what's it like?
I mean, it's almost cliche. It's what you make it.
Yeah.
It's no downloading at a time. You get to view these different campuses, interact with these different players, coaches, whatever kind of administration. It's a very unique situation, and I'm blessed to have been in that spot. not everyone gets to see.
See, that's the stuff we want to hear. Our dozens of listeners want to hear those cool stories.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And more so, I know it's gotten worse.
Social media has changed all of that.
Right. And the text messages and all that stuff, that wasn't as prevalent when I was being recruited. But so I can only imagine what these kids are going through now. But it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of mind games, and you're trying to develop yourself into a teenager, and that's already a difficult phase as it is.
Right.
But being thrown hundreds of different choices and avenues that you could pursue, it had its days where it's pretty stressful, and it's not even so much the coaches or the schools.
I'm sure a lot of it's friends. Hey, where you going? Where you going?
Yeah, I mean, just out in the community, and it's the people. I guess the recruiters or the journalists, the recruiting sites, they don't have any restrictions.
Right.
So they're free to call you as much as they want. And that was the most annoying part. Like I'd get home from school or practice or whatever the case may be. Let's say 6:00, and I can tell you nonstop from 6 to 10:30, my phone wouldn't stop ringing.
Wow!
Just from trying to do stories and
mine never
where
rings.
you're going, inside scoops and all that stuff. And it's a great spot to be in. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's great to have people want you that much, but at the same time, like, it can get a little bit hectic and annoying, I should say.
I know it's a different sport. What do you think about all the Zion Williamson stuff down here? Have you been keeping up with that up there where you are?
A little bit. I've kept up a little bit with it.
I think down here it was bananas, man.
The town of Spartanburg was not quite ready for that.
No. Spartanburg Day School was not ready for that.
Definitely, Spartanburg Day School was no question not ready for that.
Yeah, it's safe to say that they will never experience a situation like that again.
No.
I would assume, too, they would never say this publicly, but I suspect they're pretty excited about never experiencing that again. I think that principal is probably like, wow, I'm glad this is over.
Right.
Is it a big... When you finally made the decision, was it like a big relief? Were you happy to get it over with? When it's over with, does everything just kind of stop cold turkey, or does it keep going after that?
When you decide and you announce it to the world, it is the most joyful feeling that you could ever experience. I mean, some of the stuff, still continues.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going through a period where you're just verbally PEP committed. You still can have some, schools still trying to get you to switch or whatever the case may be. But for the most part, like when you announce and you sign, my signing day, I couldn't stop smiling. And it wasn't because I was just going to school. It was because I didn't have to deal with any of the craziness anymore. And that was the biggest, sigh of relief. Like, I can now finally focus on the next chapter of my life. And I don't have to worry about, the if, ands, or whats.
All right. You're obviously an intelligent guy, A, because you listen to the border war, and
B, because at some point he's made the decision to make friends with me, and so that's two fantastic decisions.
That wasn't where I was going at all. But did the recruiting process, like the lines all these coaches are give you, did they actually impact you? Or did you sort of just see through it the whole time? They all sound like the same guy. Everybody's telling me the same stuff. Did you sort of know what you wanted to do, where you were going? Or did that stuff actually impact you as a 17, 18-year-old kid?
I mean, some of the stuff that you can be able to decipher, it's almost like dating. Like you can kind of figure out what girl you really don't want to date or one you might really be interested in or whatever the case may be. But it can, like, some of them are pretty good at their job and they can sell you water, and sell water to a whale.
Right.
But for the most part, I feel like that I was able to have a good grasp of what was going on. But one of the things that I was always told in the recruiting period was, don't go to a school just for a coach. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, yeah, you
Well,
got
I think
say
that's
that.
very obvious these
Who's
days.
going to go? Who's going to go to a school that you don't like the coach?
It's definitely a
some is,
catch-22.
Huh?
I said it's definitely a catch-22 with that.
Right. I mean, and it's true because especially, the turnaround that you have these days, or it's period in college football, your coach could be fired midway half season. So I think it is important to, have a solid foundation with the campus and, the support staff and, and be able to enjoy that or the city that you're in or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, these coaches are paid very well and they're very good at their jobs. And some of them might not be as great as fundamentally sound coaches, but they can recruit.
Well, you're seeing that in Lexington right now.
Yeah.
Who was one recruiter that really sort of jumped out at you that you wouldn't have thought would, maybe from a lesser known school or something that actually kind of made you think a little bit?
I would say the person who still stands out to me is, and this wasn't a small school, it was actually the guy who got me to sign, and that's Rick Stockstill, who's the head coach at Middle Tennessee State right now. He was the tight end coach at South Carolina.
Yeah, now I know a lot of Carolina fans that have continued to wish we had never lost that guy.
By far, he is. I mean, him and I to this day we still talk because of the relationship that we built. But
That's
he is
awesome.
an amazing man. But I was never interested in South Carolina. There were Lou Holtz, and I never thought about playing there. It wasn't until Coach Spurrier came, I guess maybe a month before signing day, and I just heard from Stock, and Coach Spurrier came down, and I mean within a 3 to 4 week time span, he had completely just flipped my mind, and I had to come play for him.
Well, you must have been something special coming out of high school if Steve Spurrier bothered to recruit you.
He doesn't recruit anywhere. He didn't by the time he left.
I didn't think he did that.
Hey, let me ask you a question, because you were a good basketball player back in the day too. I don't know if you still are. I don't know if your horse skills have diminished that badly or not yet. Why? How come in football that you see like this nonstop? I'm going to commit to Clemson, and the kid will flip 9 times before signing day. But in basketball, the kid says, "Okay, I'm going to North Carolina, or I'm going to Kentucky," and it's like the kid's off limits, and recruitment never comes up again.
I think it's a little bit different because in basketball you don't have as many different styles.
Uh-huh.
So if you can play basketball, you play basketball, and obviously if you can shoot, that's not going to change. You can go anywhere and be able to shoot. But in football, you have to be able to almost be in a good situation because there's so much going on. So, and with all the different kind of offenses you have, and kind of development that you want to get to, I think that there's always a chance to flip somebody because of a different perspective or a different edge that you'll be able to bring versus, just basketball where if you can shoot and defend, you can do that anywhere and still stand out. So, if a quarterback is...
So his coach is feeling like, I can go out and get another 6'9" guy who can defend, with long arms and that kind of thing.
Right.
Just go get the next guy.
Right.
One thing you hear a lot, too, is that college coaches have a little bit more of I don't want to use the wrong word here, brotherhood. Sorry, TanMan.
Brotherhood, load of crap.
That when a guy commits verbally in college, what I've read is that college coaches back off in basketball and they do not in football. And it maybe it's because losing a guy off your basketball recruiting classes could be a dagger to the heart. You're only recruiting 5 guys to start with, or 4 guys.
Right.
Maybe that's some of it.
Yeah. Hey, are you in any hurry, big man?
No.
You want to? We've hit the point of the show where we're going to make our picks for the basketball games, and to say the least, we have been terrible the first few weeks.
Awful.
You want to play with us?
Yeah.
All right. Last week I went 4-6. BG went 3-7.
Why? Why do you have to say that? I mean, just
because the people deserve to know.
No.
You picked against North Carolina.
I'm going to start sending you $5 to lie, man. That's terrible. Don't do that to me.
That'll be a raise. I usually lie for free. First one on the list, Number 17, Arizona, going out to Tempe to take on the 25th ranked Sun Devils. I think the Sun Devils, they were a little overrated to start the year. They've kind of fallen back a little bit. I think they got as high as what? Didn't they get as high as 2 or something early on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Arizona went out to the Bahamas, had their struggles, but I think they've righted the ship. I think DeAndre Ayton is not getting near enough credit for being a potential number 1 pick. Give me Arizona.
I'm going
I'm
to
going to go
take.
Arizona with that.
What? Go ahead. Did he say something? I couldn't hear that.
You went with Arizona, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arizona.
All right, he went with Arizona.
So we establish an order. We're going to let him go second.
Okay.
Yeah. Whoever goes first, he'll go second. I am going to take Arizona State.
And he dropped another one. Next up, Villanova going to Xavier. The Wildcats, I think they're the best team in the country for my money when they're healthy. Unfortunately, they're not really healthy. If you can lose at St. John's, or if you lose against St. John's, I just dropped another one last night, I think. They can certainly lose to Xavier on the road in Xavier. Give me the Musketeers to knock off and upset the Wildcats.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I'm actually going to agree with you on this one, too. David always has a solid program, regardless if they're ranked or not. So I am going to go with Xavier on this one, too.
See, I was hoping you would disagree. I know all of I call them the degenerate gamblers that bet against whatever we say every week are probably hoping the same thing. Who you got, BG?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with the Wildcats on this one.
Wildcats for BG. All right, next up, West Virginia on the road at Kansas. Not your vintage Kansas team. I'm not really scared of them. As a Tar Heel fan, I'm not scared of having Kansas in my bracket. I want Kansas in my bracket. With that said, I don't know what you're going to get from West Virginia from night to night sometimes. Sometimes when the offense shows up with the defense, they're tough to beat. Second half against Kentucky, the offense disappeared and Kentucky ran them out of the gym on the road. I'm going Kansas at home.
What with the Mountaineers on this?
Mountaineers.
I'm a huge Bob Huggins fan. I like their style of basketball.
All right.
I like their style of basketball, too, and it does travel well. That full press can take the home crowd out of it, but I'm going to go with the Jayhawks. It just feels right.
Pulled the old switcheroo. I'd already started right down WVU.
That's what you get for thinking you can predict my mind.
This one, no shocker with next on the list. No shocker here. North Carolina at Louisville. I'm not even going to break it down. The Tar Heels are on a roll right now. Luke May, spectacular. Give me the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Ohio on this one, Tar Heels.
All right.
Yeah, let's just make that a clean sweep.
Right.
Louisville's not impressed me. North Carolina a week ago, maybe not. This North Carolina team looks different.
All right. Ohio State at Michigan. It's a maze out. The Buckeyes, that win for North Carolina, looking better and better.
What an awful name for a color.
The maze out.
That's all.
But on the road, I'm going with Michigan on this one.
Man, I don't know what it is, but we're on the same page, man. I'm going with Michigan.
Man, you'd think my 15-15 record on basketball picks would be better then, but I guess it's not.
It's not going to get better this week either. The only thing is we've sucked someone else into our vortex of awfulness. I'm with you guys. I normally would pick against somebody just for having something called a maze. Maze, which is another word for corn. But, give me the Wolverines.
All right, we got a minute left. We got to move. Duke at Clemson. Give me the Blue Devils. I think Clemson could be in trouble if Mitchell's really out. Give me the Blue Devils.
I'm going Tigers on this.
All right.
I will also go Tigers.
All right. Nuggets at the Bucks. Only 2 NBA games on tap this week. Give me the Bucks.
Yeah, Greek, please. I'm going to go with Greek.
All right.
I'm going to go with the Bucks.
Your Lakers at the Timberwolves. Give me the T-Wolves.
Yeah, we don't stand a chance. Timberwolves.
Don't stand a chance, he said.
Timberwolves are my new fallback team. I'm sticking with them.
All right. The Rising Stars Challenge. The world versus the USA. Give me the USA.
Yeah, I'm definitely going USA on this one.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
All right. Are you Team Steph or Team LeBron? I'm Team Steph.
Oh, I'm Team Steph.
Team LeBron.
Team LeBron. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week. I can't believe we got all the picks in. What an amazing, amazing host I am.
Go Redskins.